welcome to another episode of Heart of CUR, the podcast in which we take you through the heart and soul of Curaçao's International Airport. I'm Joanna Costa Gomez, your host, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Krishna Dol. She manages the exclusive Jet Center here in Curacao. So, if you've ever wondered what it's like to be an ultra VIP guest rolling up in your private jet and traveling through the Jet Center, arriving and departing from Curacao while experiencing this VIP treatment, today we are pulling back the curtain and bringing that VIP experience to you. So, Krishna, I have to start the interview asking you about this VIP guests with a fun question. I want to know
Sure.
what's the most memorable thing you've experienced while working here at a VIP center? Because I imagine there would have been many like moments or not.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are actually so many whoa moments that with your question, I'm trying to go through all my files, thinking who was the craziest or coolest or whatever, because we experienced so much of this, you know. And if I have to really just think on the top of my head, it was probably a guest who arrived on the island, and you have a certain idea when you think of billionaires. You think, they're dressed a certain way, they handle themselves a certain way, and this guy just showed up in shorts, a shirt, and bare feet. And we're standing there just, you're getting a little glitch in your brain, right? From, okay, oh, I guess if this is his normal, it's my normal now too. It's my it's my client, let's roll with it. So we just welcomed him like we do everyone else, because no matter how you're dressed or who you are or whatever in Jet Center, everyone's VIP. So we just pulled it together and sent him off to his plane.
So basically have no expectations about what a VIP guest would look like or
100%.
behave like because it comes in all colors of the rainbow.
All colors of rainbow, shades, forms, styles, fashions, everything. There's no label to who travels in a private jet. It's very interesting, actually.
We're gonna dive a little more deep into that later on, but let's start with covering what do you guys do. So what is the Jet Center here in Curacao? What do you guys do?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because I often get it. Who's Jet Center? What does Jet Center do? Because we work, as you said in your intro, we're gonna open a curtain, because we do a lot behind a curtain, and not a lot of people on the island know about us, because we cater to 99% of people abroad, and maybe just 1% is local. So people who don't really know about us, but there's a lot that happens in this building. And what we do is we provide ground handling and concierge service and whatever it is that someone needs who travels private. And traveling private is not just in a super luxury Gulfstream or Challenger or Learjet. It's medical flights, it's military flights, it's test flights. It's a broad range of type of airplanes that we handle on the island. It's also when the king and the queen of the Netherlands arrive, we handle their aircraft and whatever it is that they need. And in Jet Center, it's logistics, it's having really high customer service to meet international standards, to be able to handle these people. And that's what we really keep ourselves super busy with, so that Curacao gets up there, with
To be able to give the VIP travel experience to those requiring it, but also those, like you said, traveling private and not per se VIP, although every client is always VIP, they say. The klant is koning, they say in Dutch.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
client is king. But what is different about the operations of a jet center as opposed to just like the normal airport? So is there
Yeah.
anything different in how you process it and how it goes? Because I'm not sure. I haven't seen like an immigration officer sitting anywhere here. How does it work? What's the
Yeah.
difference?
So why you why you don't see an immigration officer sitting here right now is because at the moment right now we don't have active operations. But as soon as we have active operations, we have all officials in here ready to attend to our clients. So in our building, we have immigration, we have customs, we have security, we have all the authorities that you have at a commercial terminal. But what's different about this market is that commercial is scheduled. You can buy a ticket now on KLM for next year and you know when your plane leaves. In my world, you fly when you decide to fly. We wake up in the morning and we have a schedule of what we think the day looks like. It starts with 4 airplanes, we end with 20.
How do you handle that then? Because
Yeah.
them, like, do you have enough personnel on the ground to handle such a shift or change? How does it work?
It's challenging. I'm not going to lie because sometimes when you do the scheduling, you wonder, am I going to have enough people on shift for handling these people, and then am I going to have too many people on shift for having 2 planes? It's always the scheduling part. I have respect for the one doing the scheduling because I wouldn't want to be doing that. I don't do the scheduling part, but it's challenging. Because we work with a very strange demand of clients. And sometimes there's an influx, and no matter where I am, I drop everything. I go to work to reinforce my team, to help my team, and make sure everything goes seamlessly. Because we did start the schedule with 5 planes, and by the time it's 4 p.m., we have 15 planes on the schedule.
How many jets would you say pass through Curacao? Like, I understand that it's difficult in the sense that you cannot say per se, okay, today 2 will arrive or 20. But if you look back, how many jets would you say on average would pass then through Curacao?
I would say in a year, if I give you a really rough ballpark, maybe 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 jets pass through Curacao per year.
Has it increased over time?
Well, there was a really good increase before the border with Venezuela closed. It was quite a bottleneck when the border closed, and that was pre-COVID. And the reason why that was painful for us is because the Venezuelan border is really, it's huge. So it also restricts people from Brazil and from the countries underneath Venezuela to get to Curacao because they're going to have to fly around the airspace, and that takes up a lot of fuel. So then they go up to the upper Caribbean.
And then they don't pass through
And
here.
they don't pass to Curacao.
Has that changed now? Like with the years, has that come to a sort of like, are you still missing that market now?
We're regaining a big share of our market back ever since the border reopened. The border reopened last year. And immediately then we were able to go back to our Brazilian clients. It's something I do. I go to conferences outside, abroad. Every year I go to 5-6 conferences per year to promote Curacao. And I go to my clients, I do all the client relations, and I'm like, hey, knocking on their, we're back, and remember, we have the fastest fuel stop here and everything. And they come back because we're a trusted location for them.
Location, but I would also imagine the service that Jet Center provides. So if I would, like, what kind of services does Jet Center provide?
So we have the ground handling, which means as soon as the airplane arrives, we have, the people on the ground parking the airplane, whatever ground equipment they need, we arrange it. If they need fueling, we get the airplane fueled. If they need catering, we arrange catering, taxi. They need flowers, they need whatever it is, we arrange all of that for them.
But is that arranged on the airplane or just like here in this building, you also like cater to them? Like if they want to have, they have to have a meeting, or how does it work? Like, do they have all of those services on the plane or in this building? Give us a glimpse into how that and what it looks like.
Yeah, so to have a really good idea of how operations of a jet works is prior to arrival, we receive an email from either the operator or the captain or whoever's coordinating the flight saying, hey, we're coming down to Curacao tomorrow. And we're bringing 6 people on board. The crew is staying over 2 nights. And what do we need? So now it's our turn to reply back. Okay, you need to request a landing permit. To do that, please contact Civil Aviation as soon as possible. to arrange your landing permit. And then we start giving our questions, do you need taxi? Do the passengers need taxi? Do you need help with hotel? Do you need help with catering? So there's a whole checklist that we send out to each client, because they don't always tell you everything you need in order to have a seamless operation. So with all our experience, we already have a pre-made checklist that will cover everything so that everything's done by the time they get here. So now they got a landing permit. All the conversations happen through email. We know exactly what's going to take place. The airplane lands. We park them right out here on the general aviation ramp. And that's where the operation starts. Usually the pilot comes out first, the captain. We welcome him. He hands us the official documents, which is usually the PAX manifest. And that's the document we need in return for customs and immigration in Curaçao. And once that is all arranged, the passengers get off. We escort them through customs, escort them through immigration. And then whatever the arrangement was with transportation, that's what takes place. Because at that moment, we're fully focused on the passengers. The captain wants us to be fully focused on the passengers. Let's process them as soon as possible out, and then we take care of
The plane.
the rest. And then once the passengers are out, the captains, the crew, everyone's relaxed. And then we get into the rest of the planning from the trip. The flight attendants, we ask him, hey, what do you need for catering? Do you need anything? Do you need any other help? If catering was already ordered. Sometimes if they stay a couple days in Curacao, they want tips. Where can we go? Where's the best restaurant? And, we give them references, where to go, where to enjoy local food. And we teach them a couple of words, bon dia, dushi, all of that. And then they immediately feel very welcomed on the island.
So it's basically also almost like you would say you're a tour operator, because now
All of it.
you might have guests that already have everything planned out, and it just maybe, I don't know, maybe an artist coming for a concert, and then the promoter arranged everything nice, but you are explaining now that you also have guests that just like at random in the end up here, and then you guys have to help with booking hotels and arranging their whole stay.
That's usually crew. Guests arrive
but
with everything arranged.
Uh-huh. No,
Usually
yes,
we
but
do
the crew.
very little for passengers. The crew is usually the one that, because
Needs
they're so
arranging.
busy with their own operation, they also don't really think much about themselves.
Got it.
And then by the time they get here, we want to take care of them. So we have everything ready for them. And we ask them, hey, did you think about what restaurants you want to go to? Do you want to explore the island? And then you kind of see them go, oh yeah, oh true. I have some time here. Yeah, maybe. Where do you think we can go? And you really break the ice with them, and they really become so relaxed once the passengers are gone. Because having the passengers is very stressful, because you want everything to be 100%. It's stressful for the crew. It's stressful for us. Nothing can go wrong.
So you take care also of the crew, so they can take good care of the passengers.
Exactly
so that's also
that.
part of the process of giving that VIP experience through Jet Center.
Super important.
So
Yes.
Jet Center exists now for more than 40 years. So that speaks to its longevity.
Yes.
How did you manage to do that? I mean, it was, I think, a gap in the market, because at some point someone came up with the idea that we do need a center to cater to these people. Tell me a bit about that process and how you've managed to be here 40 years on, second generation now, family-owned business. Tell us a bit about that process. How did that go, and how are you still here 40 years later?
Yes, it was. It's been quite a journey. It's been 41 years. We opened our doors in 1983. And the reason we opened our doors is because my dad was a pilot, and he was flying a lot between Curacao and Venezuela and Dominican Republic, delivering car parts for the different car dealerships. And as he was landing in these countries, he saw, hey, wait a minute, there's a separate general aviation terminal or place where small airplanes are being handled. Curacao should do this too. And that was the birth of this. So they started this company, and they started bit by bit approaching the clients, telling them, hey, there's now a special service for small airplanes, because back in the days, going back 41 years ago, it was mostly small airplanes, 4-seaters, 6-seaters. Now we're talking about the huge jets and, the Gulfstreams and everything. But back in the days, it started a bit smaller than that. And so it started very small office, over in commercial in the old building, doing paperwork, getting, a little bit of the feeling of what route we can go with this kind of business. And in 1993 was the first time we went abroad to a conference to really bring this location out there in the world, to get more of the international market to the island. And that's when we started growing as a company. We got some big customers in. Curacao became a really good hub because not only do we handle the private jets that come here, we also handle fuel stops. And that means people traveling from north to south to north, they need to stop somewhere in the middle, fuel up, and continue.
And Curacao would be a perfect
Curaçao's
location.
amazing for that.
Yes.
Because we dominated this logistics, and they're in and out in 30 minutes, super fast. So they're not delayed. There's not a lot of, crazy paperwork and whatnot, and it's a big market. So that's how we start finding holes in the markets and what's out there. How do we compete with the neighboring islands? What are they doing? We're doing market research. We're attending the conferences so we can see all the products that are out there. And that's what my parents were doing. And by the time I was 16, I joined a company, doing, the paperwork, I started at the bottom. I started at the bottom, okay? Hauling
They
the
made
luggage.
you work for it.
Yes, very hard. Hauling the luggage, doing the paperwork, guiding the passengers from one place to the other place. So I've been in every single, level of whatever you want to call in a company, which is really awesome because then you know all the ins and outs of your company.
Which I would imagine is the best way, because now as you have a managing position, you know everything, everybody, you know everybody's work because you've done it.
Absolutely.
So you can better manage or guide them through that process then.
Absolutely. And you can really appreciate everybody's work too, because you know that every single part has its, difficulties. And when they struggle with something, you understand why they're struggling. And you can come up with solutions a lot faster when you know what they're talking about. So 41 years in the journey. When I was 16, I came into this whole thing. By the time I was 19, I was doing my first client relations meetings in the US, going to the bigger companies to send their airplanes here. And that's when I found out, okay, I think this is my passion. Because my parents never told me, hey,
You
go
have
study
to.
abroad and come back. They never did. Actually, as a matter of fact, they gave me full freedom. Go figure out what you want to do. I was actually going to become a doctor.
And what changed?
I did 2 years of medical degree.
And then?
And then one time in class, a teacher said, guys, I'm going to ask you a serious question. When you become a doctor, you do realize you're going to have to tell people that they're terminal. Are you going to be able to handle that?
And you
And
realize,
for me, it was like, nope.
you realize that's not for you.
I'm like, no, nope.
You'd
I
rather
can't.
handle those
I can't.
VIP clients
I
back
have
home.
respect for the people who do this. Really,
Wow.
really. I have so much respect for people that can do this. It's still something I would have loved to do, but I would get too emotionally involved.
Well, the Jet Center is a different kind of service, right? Like you're not helping people when they're sick, but you're actually helping people when they're sick because you're handling medical planes as well. You
Absolutely.
said so, and
Absolutely.
maybe it's the kind of same purpose, like being there for someone, but in a different way.
Yeah, serving.
Yes. So you had your purpose, but it just like played out differently.
Absolutely.
Through your parents, but it's a family-owned business. So your brother also works here now.
No, he doesn't
Anymore.
work with us. He does work in aviation.
That's what I thought. He's in aviation as
Yes.
well.
He also studied aeronautical engineering. He has his own fair share of really awesome things he's done in aviation.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, for our parents, they still saw us go in aviation. Maybe each a different route, but
They planted that seed of love for the industry, and then you found your way.
yes.
But then you are following in your parents' footsteps with the Jet Center. What are your plans? Like we're wrapping up the podcast, this episode. What are your plans, and what is the heart of that Krishna wants to put into the Jet Center? Like, because you're the next generation. So I would suppose you have maybe a different vision or a different flavor to add to it. Services you might want to add, like you want to expand more. Do you want to just continue with this path? What's next?
That's a really good question because I'm always trying to ask myself that question. What route do I want to go to? And in the phase that I'm in right now, I think my route I want to go to is share my knowledge, share my experience, not just mine, but the company's. We have 41 years of experience as a company. We would love to go out in the region, go out to other countries that need help setting up jet centers or likewise type of businesses, and we can assist them with that. We have an amazing team we have people on the team who've been with us for 16 years. We have true specialists on board. And one beautiful thing about Curacao is that we have an amazing talent. Our people speak so many languages. We're so broad thinking. And for me, I see it as a pity to just constrain that to the island.
Yeah, and export that more.
Exactly.
Yes. We're conducting this podcast in English, and it's my fourth language, so I'm translating everything in my head.
Yeah.
So, but it's a thing from you. So you want to export the Jet Centre Curaçao service or experience and knowledge.
That's exactly right. I'm a firm believer of exporting talent. I think that is one of the core businesses that our island should go into because we're so incredibly talented on this island. And I see it in my team. My team is incredibly talented. And I want them to, do some exchange programs and jobs in other countries and share their knowledge and experience and build that country, Jet Centre, up. So that's my goal. That's my route. That's how I'm hoping to lead my team.
On that note, what would you say sets Jet Centre Curaçao apart from other jet centers you already know? What's different or more special about someone flying into Curaçao through Jet Centre Curaçao?
Honestly, just the fact that we speak 4 languages, we can just make so many different people feel comfortable instantly. Because once someone feels they can speak their own language, going to a foreign language, that alone breaks ice on any kind of level and it builds trust. And in aviation, trust is one of the most important aspects because a pilot needs to trust where they're taking their clients. A pilot needs to trust where they land their 35 million airplane that is going to be in good hands, that it's safe. And language barrier creates a lot of miscommunications. So if you eliminate that, you have a really big advantage. And I think that's really what is one of the things that makes Curaçao super special.
One of the many. Well, Krishna, thank you for opening your heart to us and Heart of CUR, this amazing podcast, and for pulling back the curtain a little into the world of luxury, but also just like, a private travel. It was amazing.
Thank you. It was an awesome conversation with you, and there's still so much that I could tell and talk about, but then I think we're done at the end of the week.
We want to know a bit about those VIP.
Oh, there's a lot of stories I can tell you, but we'll get into that another day. But this is super interesting.
Thank you, Krishna. Wishing you all the best, of course, in all your ventures and bringing a bit of that younger generation sauce into this.
Also. Yep, I'm here for it.
Family-owned business, Jet Centre Curaçao. Heart of CUR, where in this podcast, we share a bit of the heart and soul of Curaçao's international airport. Today, a special episode with Jet Centre Curaçao. As you've heard, not only catering to those in luxury travel, but also maybe medical travel, and also those needing the pit stop into going through other destinations. So a very nice service, a very nice episode. Catch us once again in another episode of Heart of CUR.